Good night. Here I went to tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jill Spirit. So I'm here to give you a little short news on tonight. It comes from CBS News. Superior Court temporarily delay to end a Title 42 immigration policy. Supreme Court has temporarily extended on the policy, just temporary, to bar some immigrant from entering the United States. So CBS News correspondent um, reported from El Paso, Texas, on the immigrants in the city. So they in El Paso, Texas, because they had to go through there first to try to get to the border. So the Supreme Court had agreed to delay the end of the Title 42 border restriction. At the request of Republican-led states. Just days before it was set to expire. So the COVID policy allows the Democrat mayor Apostle, Texas, declare a state of emergency over the weekend. So over the weekend they had a state of emergency for the immigrants over the weekend. Because the temperature is dropping. And there's so many. It's outside in that cold with babies and children and stuff. So they're quickly trying to find shelter for them. So as the city struggles to handle influx immigrants, so they're in Apostle City, and there's so many. So they're trying their best to try to help them and to try to put them in shelters quickly to get them out of that cold. But nearly 2,500 people have been crossing into Apostle each day. So that's a lot of people each day, passing through Apostle, Texas, and they're trying to find shelters for them. So 80% people at this homeless shelter. So you got 80% people at the homeless shelter, and they found another shelter for them. Running out of food, but they had the community help provide for food. So the temperature is dropping below freezing. So last night more than 230 people packed their rooms in hallways. So they had ran out of food. But the community, had came to their rescue. Started helping them, with food and stuff. And I think that was amazing. The community to come together to help in a crisis like this here. So one of the immigrants had a 2-year-old, had slept on the floor for the past 3 nights. So her and her little baby, had slept on the floor in all in hallways. So they're gonna try to start screaming them for asylum, help find shelters for them. So they stated this is the reality. These are also facts. So we are not even at the worst of it yet. They say they say it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. This is not, it is now. It's gonna get worse than what it is now. So Robert today put a temporary hold on a termination of Title 42 policy. So that's immediately expel immigrants to public health concern. Cause the Title 42 is for screaming out for COVID. But to see if they have anything, before they even enter to the United States. So that's why this policy is so important and also manage the flow that come through the border. So it was set to expire on the 21st. Numbers of immigrants attempted to quadruple or triple. So when it end, it can triple the numbers. Immigrants that coming through. So I will try to find researchers to process the immigrant a little faster. Also because there are so many outside in the cold and the temperature are constantly dropping. For shelters and the temperature is dropping for them. They're out there with babies. So they're trying the best we can to find these shelters for these people. But it's just so many, and we have to do the best we can. So the mayor in El Paso, Texas, he done the best he can. Because he found a shelter for them. He found a shelter for the homeless. He found another shelter for them, but they're coming in quickly each day. So more buses to move them to city. like Denver and New York, are making requesting assembly, to have to apply for that, to help, get them in places, have a shelter over their head, so they cannot control who comes and the numbers that comes, but we can try our best to try to help them, get them out that cold, So they had our mercy, over the weekend, to get them out of the street, try to move a little quicker and try to find them shelter, even if they have to be in the hallway. Someone was sleeping on the floor, but it's best than being out there in that cold. So I agree that all we can do is try to find shelter. But there are so many, with needs to be busted to state. But as of now, Title 42 policy will remain in effect until the full Supreme Court said otherwise. They can control uh, of the policy. So legal battle over the future of the United States Assembly. So they want them to be screened for assembly. Will help them, find a place, a shelter, for them. Policy is planned out here along the United States Mexico border. So the 19 Republicans control the state. They filed an emergency request with the United States Supreme Court earlier. But they asked the High Court, to delay the termination of the Title 42 border restriction, set to end on Tuesday midnight. It's supposed to set in on Tuesday midnight for Wednesday, because of the lower court ruling. But John Robert, he agreed to put a temporary pause on the termination of this policy, which now will not end unless the Supreme Court rules otherwise. Because Supreme Court is in charge of it. So when they say it's delayed, they say it's to go, is what decision they will make. So United States voters still have the power, to quickly expel some immigrants to Mexico or to their home country, public health grounds under Title 42 policy. So Title 42 policy, former President Trump came up with this policy to screen all of them before they came to the border, before they go to the United States. Especially when they had the COVID. They had to get strained. That was the policy that came in place, and also it managed to float that come through the border. Because DHS not on it had to manage the them that come through the flow, but also they had to manage the flow of products that come through there. It's so much stuff they had to do that come through the border. So the Title 42 come in place for many reasons. Screen for help for the COVID. And also manage the flow that come through the border. So they will screen them for assignment because we need some kind of shelter for them quickly, because there's thousands of them out there waiting, and we're trying to move as quickly as possible, and they still should be screened for COVID. That's why the Title 42 had to remain to stay in place, because they had to be screened before they come to the United States. you know, um, that's why the policy has to still come in place. They have to still be screened for COVID. And DSS still have to manage the float that come through the policy, come through the border. So Title 42 policy are still on temporary due to Supreme Court. So I agree for some kind of emergency services to get immigrants out of the cold. They should be screened for assignments. They still should be screened for COVID. And well as busing them to state for shelter. So there are so many immigrants, to be placed in shelter. But we can do the best we can to try to place them in shelter. If anybody have empty shelters at this moment in any state, you can let them know because we're trying to find all kind of shelter for to get them out of the cold to place them in. So the temperature are constantly still dropping. And they are out there with babies and children. So we need shelters quickly to get them out this cold. So I also know Title 42 ought to screen, for COVID, you know, and manage the flow that come through the border. So but now they are need to be placed in a shelter quickly. That was the emergency came in place. So there needs to be it needs to be out the cold quickly. So we need anyone to call to find out if you have any empty shelters, in the state, we saw busing. You need immigrants from state to state, to any kind of available shelters that are available for them. So we talk about this temporary delay on the Title 42 policy. And when it ends, the numbers will increase. You have so many now. It will increase because so many people come through and just go straight to United States without being screened for COVID, without being doing paperwork, without the Title 42 come in place for so many reasons. And they're gonna get through without being screened anything. So that's why Trump had came up with this policy, to screen everyone that come through for COVID. And also it helped manage the flow that come through the border. So that's all the news I have for you on today, and y'all have a blessed night. Be safe, and I see you on the next video.